Hello, friends. We're getting everything all started up for tonight's live. All right. So I'm just gonna move this just a little bit. Perfect. Let's make that a little bit bigger. All right. We're getting there, y'all. If you are dropping by, drop a comment to say hello. We're going to get started in just a minute. Gotta grab just a couple things still for tonight's live. Accidentally is not the right word. I, at the last minute, decided to double my coloring load for tonight's project, and I forgot to get my card base ready. So while we're getting everybody to log on, I think I'm going to work on getting card bases situated. And just got to get a couple pieces. I think this is a good activity to do just while waiting for everyone to tune on. But where is my good bone folder? I have so many bone folders, and there's one that in particular that I just love. And there it is. It's hiding under my label machine. All right, let's just go ahead, get my card base ready. I just like to take my scoreboard. I forgot where I got this scoreboard from. I think I got it from a big box store many years ago on sale. And it came with its own bone folder, which went in this little divot up here. But one day I was crafting at my desk and it just fell on the floor and literally shot underneath my desk. And I have those, I think they're called Alex drawers from IKEA. And they're not the easiest to move around. So I had so many other bone folders and I didn't really love this one. So I'm just considering it something that will get reacquainted with me one day when I decide to reorganize my craft space. Which, let's be honest, that happens more often than I care to admit. We're just gonna get our card base all situated while people trickle in. I also love that when I prepare a card base, it's a 2-for-1, so I'm able to get 2 of them with just one task. All right. Oh, and I thought I lost my coloring images. So let's talk about tonight's live. I am going to be coloring up the ape image from the Titan stamp set, but we are going to be fussy cutting both of them because I am going to be using them both for my image. They take up a nice space on the bottom of my card, so we're going to utilize that tonight. And I will list the colors that I used for the lizard Titan in my YouTube description. So you guys will have that information, of course. But let's get into just a little bit of coloring. So I am going to start by coloring up the body of this ape. And we're going to start with some W6. And we're going to use this for anything that is exposed flesh. So I'm going in, just sort of adding it for his ears, for his hands, his chest, and of course his face. And then everything else is furry. So we're going to switch to a different gray. So we're just going to go in, get all this going, just like that. And then go up right here. All right. Let's kind of trace around. I had some different ideas for today's live, but because I spent more time coloring than I originally planned, I sort of had to shift my plan for today's card just because of preparation purposes, which I think is okay. If you guys tuned into last week's Facebook Live, you know that I had a plan, and then my plan went to insert profanity here. But that's okay. Okay. And in this W6. Perfect. Just like that. Okay. And if you're stopping by, drop a quick comment, say hello, let me know you're here. You can let me know where you're at or where you're living, what you're up to tonight, whatever makes the most sense that you want to drop in the comment. I just always like to keep track of who's joining us, who might be crafting along, who might be having a question about something. You know this. It's just kind of like a casual chat. Also, whenever I do a Facebook Live, I try to kind of think of a theme, something that this is going to encompass. And I think that for today's card, I didn't really focus on something, but we're going to create a scene. We're going to use pattern paper to sort of give us a little bit of an assist. But also we're going to be using some rather giant images. And we're going to let them occupy the card, but not like take over the card, if that makes sense. So, plus I haven't colored up this stamp set before, and I just realized I forgot his feet. We'll get those at the end. So I was looking for an excuse, you know. Excuse me. All right. Finish this with some W2. Y'all, it's been a Monday. It has been a Monday. I don't know where you guys are located. I am located in the Chicagoland area, so Midwest over here. And the weather has just been kind of weird lately. Now, I work in heating and air conditioning. That's my 9 to 5, working at my family-owned and operated business. And, of course, dealing with people when they're uncomfortable. So when it's really, really hot or really, really cold outside, we like to say we're really, really busy. But this week, and we've been busy. So that's like the weird part on top of it. The weather has been really strange here, in the fact that it has not been as warm as it usually is this time of May. Usually by the time Memorial Day weekend sneaks around, historically it's one of the busiest points of our year because it usually warms up, and it hasn't. We are dealing with literally all week, like through next Saturday, Sunday. The highest high we have in the area is like 66. And it's like, I kind of have a conflict about that because for work purposes, like I'd really like it to be warmer just because it generates more of a need for the business, which is something you can never complain about. But on a personal level, like my favorite season of the year is fall. And it's so because of like driven by the temperature. And I can't complain on a personal note when the weather is cool like this, because it's kind of how I prefer it. I don't know. Like I said, a little bit of a conflict, but that's okay. So just adding this color twice. His hand. And then we're going to also go in and do his feet. I'm going to have to repeat those, but that's okay. All right. Next, we're going to go in, repeat that W4. Like I said, I don't think anyone's dropped any comments, so no big deal. It can be a quiet Facebook Live tonight. Y'all can just hear me chit-chat, or if you're eventually going to be catching the replay, no big deal. Just get, I don't want to call it ASMR because it's not ASMR, but just sort of white noise by Justin. Go in. Also, I always like to give like a disclaimer. So my craft studio is right next to the patio door for our house, which is cool because I usually get some really nice, big natural sunlight. I mean, it's the end of the day, so there's not a lot of sunlight right now, but in the middle of the day, it really sort of just beautifully warms up in here in terms of lighting. But because of where we're located and because of our layout of our house, our den is it's not, I won't say small, but it's a nice room size, but small enough that you could definitely contain an animal in here, like a dog if need be, if you don't want them to have the run of the house. And if you haven't caught one of my previous Facebook Lives, I talked about how our youngest dog, Winnie, recently had leg surgery, and she is being kept in my den, our den, just so she can recover. So she's in here with me almost all the time. Every once in a while, we'll move her to another area of the house just so she can get some new scenery, relax on a new surface. But you might hear her whimper or walk around, or I don't know if she's got any food out right now, and that's okay. But you just might hear some animal noises, and that's Winnie. And then we've also got Duke, who is out and about in the house, but Duke's got a deep bark, and he likes to bark whenever someone's at the door. So you may hear him too, you never know. Parts of doing a Facebook Live. Now it'd be nice if we had like a basement, I could leave him upstairs, shut the door, but hey, we all do with what we work with. Or we work with what we got, that's what I'm trying to say. Not complaining, very happy. We used to live in a small 1-bedroom condo that my craft space, I had my desk. My desk had a couple drawers, not very many drawers. It had a nice work surface on it. However, didn't have a lot of storage space. And I had to use part of our entry closet for craft storage. And I had 3 bins. And I used to have to stack all of my ink pads and try and squish as many as I could in one box. And I'm very grateful now that we have a space that I'm able to have a nice sort of footprint of an area to work with. I mean, I would also be lying if I would say that you didn't find my craft stuff sprinkled throughout the house as well. So, that's okay too. Just going in, finishing up this ape. A little bit of time is going to be spent today, and I'm actually not being truthful. A lot of time is going to be spent fussy cutting these images out. So my final layout of this card is kind of abbreviated. We're going to go in now, and we're going to work on his fur, and we're going to add some texture. So when I do fur, I don't know, some people don't like calling it certain things. I just kind of call it brush strokes. Flicks. Sometimes people don't like calling them flicks. I don't know. I mean, you are flicking your hand against the paper, so that doesn't necessarily bother me. I'm going with some T8. And we're going to just kind of carefully give this guy some texture. Just kind of adding in, make him look furry. I am using toner grays as opposed to for his skin. I used warm grays, and the reason for that is that I wanted there to be a difference. I think his fur is still pretty gray. It doesn't have a lot of it has a little bit of warmth, not a lot of warmth with it, which is why I decided to do his fur as a toner gray. But I thought that his skin definitely had just a tinge of brown to it. So I thought it was a little bit earthier. So I went with warm gray for his skin. Just kind kind of going around. He's got a lot of fur we're going to have to focus on, so I'm just kind of doing my little strokes. We'll fill in all these gaps. I'm not concerned. I just thought it would be really cool to give him a lot of texture. Really kind of brings your character to life. That's what we're going to do with him. I always kind of feel like the first color is the hardest. When you're doing these textures. Just because you're kind of laying the foundation for the direction that everyone needs to go. You're kind of having to do a little bit more controlled motions as opposed to when you do more colors, you kind of just are following what's there already. Okay, going in. So we're going to lay down the T8 first. Kind of going down and around. And do his legs. And hopefully you can kind of start to see how we're going to get this texture to look. I think it starts to become pretty obvious, but it's going to look even cooler once everything is said and done. We've got a lot more to add. So let me see, am I missing anything? I don't think so. Chill check. Nope, I don't think I'm missing any comments yet. And that's A-okay. So I'm just kind of going in, adding the strokes. I'm going to do like that. Okay, so we've got the foundation for the fur, but we're going to add a couple more colors. So let's go in with some T6. I think we're going to do a 4-color blend for his fur. And these are just going to kind of go out a little more. Alright, just kind of keep in that fur. Now, this might seem like a stretch, however, these characters kind of come from a specific, this fandom originated in a specific country, you know, Japan. And I am actually very excited because we are heading to Japan later on this year and getting some of our travel plans finalized. We just got a really cool flight change that we made over the weekend that really sort of helps our travel. We were originally going to be, so we're in the Chicagoland area, so we often fly out of O'Hare Airport. Excuse me. And when we were looking for flight itineraries, ooh, we need some water. Hold on 1 second. Pause that thought. Oh. So, excuse me. So, we often fly out of Chicago and we were looking to book these flights. For whatever reason, there was so much more of a discount available. if we drove an hour and a half and flew out of Milwaukee. I'm talking like over $1,000 combined between the two of us, which is wild. So we booked the itinerary because it worked for us, and we're like, you know what, an hour and a half, not ideal, but I'll drive the hour and a half each way to save that sort of cash. Well, we've been getting flight itinerary emails that they've been like slightly making changes. Maybe this will help you at some point too. So that's why I'm telling the story. When they make a flight itinerary change, and it may be dependent on the type of fare that you booked, I'm not for certain, but you may be eligible for a free flight change. And so our email said something about like, oh, you could change your flight if these new times don't work for you. And so we called the airline. We asked, well, are there any flights that we could do that might be out of Chicago? And the lady on the phone was able to, for no additional charge, switch our flights to be out of our preferred home airport rather than Milwaukee. And it really doesn't change much of our travel time, aside from the fact that we're going to be now leaving a lot closer to home. So that is good news for us. And making sure all this fur's good. Awesome. That fur's really starting to get filled in too. All right. We're going to go in now with some T4. Just sort of start to fill it in. Not fully, but definitely making progress. Definitely still leaving some lighter areas for us to fill in next. I'm gonna have to fix a little bit of his skin, that's okay. Like that. And then we'll go in with some T2 and sort of make sure everything is filled in. Now I am gonna go back and I'm gonna repeat some of these strokes so that we can get a little bit more definition on them, because as you layer lighter and lighter colors on top of each other, they do to some extent blend out. And which is what when you're coloring with alcohol markers, the goal is usually to blend them. So they're doing their job, but if you want to add texture, in my opinion, the best way to do that is to gradually go from light to dark. Because if the darkest color is on top, you can't really wash it out as much as you can as if you're going to put the lighter color on top. So, just my 2 cents, and that's why I like to repeat the process. So, he looks great. We're going to just add a little bit more. So I'm just going to go in with some T4, add those detail strokes in, just to give them that texture. Also, if you hear alarms going off, that is because my husband is working out. So he's getting his exercises in. We are a busy household tonight. All right. I also kind of had to pivot with today's Facebook Live because I started planning everything out. And I was going to do a lot of green accents with colors. And then I very quickly realized that my card and color palette was looking oddly very similar to the card that I did last week with the dragon from the Take Flight stamp set. So I'm like, let's make a couple modifications. So the theme of May for Justin isn't black and green. So I did do a couple changes. Try to keep these strokes lighter. The other thing too is as I go darker with the color, I space the strokes apart further and do less of them. The reason for that is you don't want the darker color to overtake too much of the paper or of the image. Why is that one not colored in? There we go. Perfect. And then we're gonna finish off Mr. Monkey with some T8. And we're just gonna kind of add that back in, going ever so lightly. Sometimes I think his hairstyle kind of reminds me of me in the early 2000s. Oh, Christian, that's okay. Thanks for the comment and that you're stopping by. I know you're probably going to be making something fantastic very soon. Just adding lots of texture. All right. He is looking pretty fierce. I'm gonna go in, I gotta blend a little bit of his face because I got some toner gray in with my warm gray. Just kind of blend it out a little bit. Just like this. It's hard, Christian. It really is, because that's why I always like to give the guideline of if you're coloring something that the color is intended to be black, go lighter. And if you're intending it to be white, go darker. Because you want to play off of what your markers will allow you to do if you do that. If you go in too dark, then it just kind of makes it really hard to work with. It turns the whole image black. And you don't want that unless that truly is the goal of the image. So we're going to color up the inside of his mouth. We're starting with RV34, RV32. Ooh. I need some water. Excuse me. And then RV10. I by no means feel like I've mastered coloring dark colors or coloring in black, but I do know that my tip of starting lighter has really, really helped. All right, we got the inside of his mouth. Now let's do the tongue. Also, y'all, I had a little bit of an accident where this marker, this RV14, needed a refill, and it got all over me. Got all over me. All right, RV14, RV13, RV10. Just like that. We'll repeat that. RV14, RV13, and RV10. And actually, the inner mouth of these two characters are identical, and the teeth color we're going to do. So, not too many markers are needed, which is nice across these two images. We're going with a little bit of C2. And then finish with some C00. All right, so we've got our two characters all situated. We do have to fussy cut them out though. So this is gonna take just a little bit of time, but the card part itself, I'm not discounting it because I think it's a fun way to make a little scene. It's not an overly complicated process. So I think once we get these guys cut out, the rest of the card is gonna kind of fly by. I'll tell you what, recently, over the last handful of years, these two characters have showed up in a handful of their own movies or even with each other. And I've really enjoyed them. Some of them seem a little on the far-fetched side, but I've enjoyed them. I do feel like it kind of gets into that like high fantasy realm of sorts, because there starts to get into like the mythology of them. And it's weird to like, of course they would be considered mythological creatures, but then just to see them like exist in the world, not the real world. It's a fiction movie. Y'all know I'm just sitting here talking, but it's like interesting to see like if characters like this or creatures like this really existed, what that means for the world, what systems and organizations would get put into place, what threats could come to be. It's just wild. I was recently listening to a YouTuber of mine, and they were talking about about superheroes. And they're like, you know that you get to a certain age when you like watch a superhero movie and like the superheroes like save New York City or whatever it is. And then like you see all the damage that they cause and you're like, but at what cost? And I'm just like, you know what? I see that because I see what these critters do and the damage. And it's just like, but dang. But dang. Need a water break in a second. 1 second. You know what, Christian? I'm not saying they don't exist. I am not a person like that. I'm the person, if like the conversation of aliens get brought up, I start getting like statistic involved with it. And I'm just like, like the likelihood that we're the only planet in an infinite universe of other planets, I'm like, I'm sure one of them has life forms on it. Who knows what those life forms look like? I'm not necessarily saying they're going to be like humanoid creatures, but they could be worms for all I know, but I consider those worms aliens. And I can see a Sasquatch out there. I could see a Loch Ness Monster. Why not? Ghosts. Not opposed to, not against those existing either. I guess maybe characters like this have like a different type of lore where they're like a specific entity as opposed to like creatures that have just kind of been accepted all the time. I don't know. I say never say never. It's a crazy world. Y'all, sometimes I'm like, where are the coordinating dies? Give me some coordinating dies. But then again, right now, dies in the crafting industry is not the most fun of topics, because I know it's a little bit of a, it's been a struggle. But I do want to bring up, I am using a die later on in this. Actually, I'm using 2 dies. And I believe Audra mentioned this before, so I don't think I'm taking, like, I'm putting words in her mouth. But just due to, like, what the current nature is with ordering die cuts specifically, I don't know if there's going to be plans for the current dies that are available on the website for them to be available forever. I don't know if they're going, what I mean by that is I don't know if once they sell out, if they're going to be restocked. So, if there have been some die sets that you've been eyeballing and really considering buying, I would almost say to consider prioritizing them over other products. I mean, order whatever you want. I'm not going to say don't order stuff. I mean, whatever floats your boat. But if you're trying to, like, rationalize what to buy first, the die cuts might make the most sense, because if it's a set you really, really want, I can't promise that it's always going to be available. Stamp sets, there's a bigger likelihood that the stamp set will be restocked at some point. You guys know that. Basically, unless Audra is adamant that a set is, like, limited run for charity, like, this will, like, explicitly says this will not come back, at some point you see stamp sets resurface. I know if you haven't already, there is a vault. I want to call it a pre-order, but it's also, there were some sets that were available immediately. And I know that, like, the toy box sets of you can pre-order. I think the toy box set is not on pre-order. I think you can actually order it outright. And then there was also the toy box add-on. I think it's toy box. I could be wrong. Or, like, part of a Pride. I think, whatever the Space Hero set is with the raccoon. I forget what that one is called. That I saw that. I saw there was a superhero add-on set that had the guy with the gauntlet with the stones. Those are all still available in the store, and y'all, there was a time, there's always a time that there's always, like, new waves of people that discover Kindred, and they discover it after a certain fandom set has been a limited release has come out, and it's no longer available for purchase. And it's like, the goal is to, like, get your wish list taken care of. I remember when I first got my hands on the Your Super set, like, how thrilled I was. That set is amazing. So anyways, long story short, check out the website if you haven't in a while, or if there have been some sets you've been eyeballing. Audra did open up a vault order. Some items are pre-order, some are available immediately. But the good rule of thumb is if you see an item that says pre-order on it, that means that the item is for pre-order and it's not going to ship immediately. If you place an order and if there's even just one item in there that's a pre-order, your entire order will get held until all items are in stock. So just keep that in mind if that's something that conflicts against when you need your products. Place 2 orders. I know that means you're going to have to pay for 2 different shippings fees, but if that's what you need and you don't want to wait, then that's the way to go. usually the vault orders, we usually get like what, one good one a year, and it seems like this might be it. And then little events will happen throughout the year, opportunities to grab limited sets. Y'all just, I wish we did like, I should ask Audra if there's like an inventory for the count of sets that have come out. Just so my... Christian, okay, so do you know that Lifesavers is the very, very, very first stamp set that I ever worked with when I joined the design team? I can tell you right now that it came out in September of 2019. So that was one of the that was the absolute first design team set that I worked with. And I remember I thought I was so clever. We can talk about ourselves like this because like you look back and you realize things that maybe you could change. I thought I was so clever because the stamp set comes with images of Band-Aids and pills. And I decided to cut the pills, not cut the pills, stamp and color the pills. And I used my Cricut and I made a pill bottle shaker element and a card. And I did it with like, you know how pill bottles come in like that slightly brown, mostly orange canisters. I was so happy with myself. I thought I was so clever. And you know what? I stand behind the fact that I think that that is still very clever. But I think I could do it in different ways now. That would be really cool. But I want to say the very, very first stamp set that I just became enamored with, I think was Witch Sisters, which is the set that came before Salem Sisters. It was like the very first of that fandom, and I'm like, I need this. Like, this is like a no compromise, absolutely need. All right. Sorry, my cough drop is getting to its final phase. Okay. So we've got our two characters all situated. Now we've just got to work on the card that they're going to go on. I'm putting all of my markers away. That took 43 minutes to color and cut. My goodness. So, all right. So we're going to put these off to the side. And now I did do it because it did say that it was in stock. I went ahead and die cut the Cityscape die, but I also die cut it using the card basics. And then I also have from the Flames set, I die cut some yellow flames, and I just thought it would be cool if we went like that, and these two were just kind of like fighting, you know, just like kind of standing off to the side. I'm gonna see. I'll map out if I can fit a sentiment in the middle. I'm almost wondering. I would love to do the smashing birthday, but I think I'm gonna say I'm crushing on you. I think that's a bit. I think we'll do it right in the center. But I've got to do some ink blending, so we're gonna get into that, and we'll do some layering. We'll do a little bit of embellishment work, you know. Okay, and I actually am doing the same. Ooh, I don't want to do black stuff. I want to do hickory smoke. So we're gonna go in, and I'm just gonna wipe off the excess, just because I want to get this lighter. And then we're gonna go in with some hickory smoke, and then I'm just gonna blend it on top of this, which I've already die cut out of a light gray paper. I tell you what, y'all, I have really sort of been digging these blending brushes lately. These are ergonomic blending brushes by Pink and Mane. I know there's also Altenew has a very, very similar style blending brush as well. I've just really been enjoying them. But also, Simon Hurley just came out with on Friday a brush like, it looks like this, but it's like, I think the brush itself is smaller, but it has a longer handle. So I had to get some on order. I also got some of his, well, I got all the new inks that he just came out with too. So maybe you'll see me utilize them in an upcoming live. You never know. So I'm just going to kind of go in. Just kind of ink blend, building up that color. These brushes give a really smooth blend. There's not a lot of streak marks, which I love. And then, let's see, do you want to do a little bit of black soot on the bottom? Let's see. Ooh, no, my ink pad. Oh, phooey. All right, we'll fix that. I have ideas. Not the bend. I have an idea. Gently going in. All right. Wait, so Christian, favorite paper pack? Do you mean the Flames is your favorite paper pack or another one? Because this is I was very impressed with this paper pack, and I feel like it doesn't get a lot of attention. Because this paper pack came out. Okay, so you have great taste. We all know this, but this came out with what's the name of the stamp set? It comes with the superheroes and the one villain. Is it called the Power Up stamp set? It's the one where they like the suited up like superheroes. And all the fun fact, all the flames in this coordinate with the colors of those suits. So that was kind of like the original intent. But you can use it with any stamp set. So we're going to do, I thought yellow flames would be cool. Just kind of trying to figure out how I want them to go. We're going to do them like this. And then I am going to do some paper splatter. So we're going to have this guy over there. This one over here. So I'm going to have to map this out. But yeah, that stamp set, when that stamp set came out, oh my God, we're talking about Power Up. I was over the moon. I was so excited. Like, I don't even know if I could explain how excited I was. Do this. And then I would like to put my sentiment. I wish I made this just a little bit bigger so that I could have done the sentiment. Have a smashing birthday, but that's okay. That's okay. We're not going to complain, Justin. What we are going to do, let's see. I want to try to map this out. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 6. All right, perfect. So that's 8.5. So we're gonna put this kind of in the center, just like this. Getting quiet because I'm focusing on spaces. Looks about half tink. Just like that. All right, so we're gonna take these off, and then I'm going to tack these down, and then we're going to use my anti-static tool. Oh, phooey. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's it. Gosh, I hope that's it. Ooh, boy. Y'all, I almost just made a huge mistake, but we're good, I think. crushing on you. I'm gonna grab a piece of paper. That kind of work fast. And then we're gonna use some Snowfall embossing powder. I think we're good. My paper was still just a little on the damp side from using the inks, so I had to really kind of extra blow off the embossing powder, but that's a-okay. So I am gonna heat emboss. Also, fun fact, don't do this directly on top of your mat in your Misty because it will warp and possibly melt. Don't ask how I know this. All right, let me grab some water and also Misty. And then we can kind of work on some assembly. But this Titan stamp set, it is available in the website right now if you want to add it. So keep that in mind. Let's see, this can go away. This can get cleaned. Just like that. All right. So then let's go in. Do we want to here? There's one other thing I would like to do. Let me see if I can grab it. I want to do a little bit of paper splatter, I think. I'm trying to find, I have a black paper splatter that is seemingly escaping me right now. But maybe what I actually want to do is an opaque silver. So we're going to do that. We're going to do some opaque silver, and then Justin is also, where did Justin put his tape measure? There it is. I'm also going to like very slightly cover this just to kind of block it. And let's see. I'm going to put our characters off to the side. Do some opaque silver. Because I'm trying to kind of mask the fact that I have a little bit of a smudge. And I thought if I did a little bit of splatter work, that would kind of help. Just kind of cover that. Awesome. All right. So then I can just kind of remove my tape. Here you guys. All right. There we go. And then let's just really carefully set that into place so I can start working with it. Yes, I do have 2 separate heat tools. Yes, that is totally okay. Thought I was smart to set the ink. No, had to wipe it off. Ugh, yeah. It really does. You gotta kind of, I hate how you always kind of have to be mindful about like how long it takes things to dry when you craft. It drives me nuts because it's just an extra thing to worry about that it doesn't help progress you. It helps keeping it in mind helps not regress you. All right. So I think that's good. So now let's go in and we're going to adhere this to our card. So I'm just going to kind of go in, do that, doing the little gaps. I'm trying to be mindful to not over it here. Because like I want this to stick, but I also don't want like those adhesive blobs that you can see on the paper. Let's go. Just sort of push this down a little bit. I have an oversized acrylic block for the win. Just kind of press that down. Make sure we're not missing any comments. I think we're good. All right. While that's setting, I am going to trim up a couple pieces of paper. So I'm going to do a piece of silver. I would like to cut it down to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And that I would like to adhere behind this panel just to give it a little bit of a shiny frame. We're going somewhere, y'all. Stay tuned. So when I hear this. Oh, Carrie, you're okay. I hope you're having a wonderful night. Sounds like it, though. All right, so we're going to adhere that. And make sure it's nice and centered in there. So push it down with that. Next, I'm going to grab a peep of... Oh, phooey. Those were scissors. Blade first onto the ground. Oh, well. Let's hope they still work okay. My favorite pair. That's okay. All right, next I'm taking a piece. This is mixed media paper in black. It is so thick. Like the thickest of papers. I love it. From scrapbook.com. I don't even know if I use it for mixed media purposes, but I use it for my cards. Just for like heavyweight paper, and I adore it. Alright, and then oh no. Water on the rocks. I guess I'm technically drinking that right now too. LOL. Ooh, this cardstock is not quick drying. That stinks. Should have almost used a permanent adhesive, but figure it out. All right, let's see. Need to adhere this. Originally, I had thoughts of turning this into like a full-blown shaker card. My thoughts changed. My timing changed. I was going to do a full panel shaker with the cityscape die in front of it, so it looked like the background was like rubble shaking around. It's a lovely thought for somebody else to do, I guess. 'Cause I'm not. All right, so I've got this. Carrie, it has been a day. And I think you're going about handling the day appropriately. All right, let's go in. Start adding in our images. So I'm going to do some foam tape. Also, y'all, I do want to talk. about husbands for a second because mine just left to go pick up the dinner that I placed on order. And I'm just like, I'm so happy. I'm going to get my Buffalo Wild Wings after my Facebook Live. I don't have to go pick it up. Yay for supportive spouses. Love it, love it. This set is called Titans. It is a 4x4. And it contains the 2 images that we're using for this card. The ape and I call it the giant lizard. If you can come up with something that you think is more on point, go for it. The city die is still in stock, Carrie. I was talking earlier, if there are stamps and dies that you're thinking of ordering, I would do it if it's still in stock. Not stamps and dies, just dies. Just because I don't know what the restock policy on them is going to be moving forward. I'm fairly certain that Audra had mentioned, be sure to buy them while they're in stock because we may not be restocking them. I think she would have a more concrete answer than me. She is the boss lady. But just keep that in mind. And I get it. Sometimes we're on the fence, don't know if we want it. And I'm not saying make irrational decisions. But I do know that some of us also eyeball things for a very long time. But sometimes, for whatever reason, it's hard for us to justify an extra $20 expense. But then, like, you can go out to, like oh, but Taco Bell sounds good. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. And I mean, I'm also not saying that your Taco Bell is going to cost you $20, but I'm also not saying that if your husband or spouse was in the car and they also were in the mood for Taco Bell, that it could be more than $25. So stay tuned. And also, I do love me some Taco Bell. I do. It's a really good die, Beth. I agree. It's also one of those dies where you really kind of need a staple cityscape building die in your stash. So if you got another one that you love, because I mean, let's be honest, it's not the only one on the market, but it's a really good one if you haven't got one, and I guarantee you'll use it. I've used this. Let's think about how many times I've used this. I use this. This is not even my first Facebook Live that I've used it. I did a 4th of July card with Judges panel with this. I did Leading Ladies, the Broadway-inspired stamp set. There's the 2 divas who are the jazz girls I use this with. I did a Kindred Town set, and it was the one that you can do like the cafe or the bookstore. I used it and made a scene die with that. I also think there's a chance I used it with the Italian, Kindred Town, the Italian, like the pizza and Italian restaurant one, with the turtles. I'm pretty sure I used that. So I've gotten my use out of this one. Sadly, though, there's a lot of other staples that are sold out that I don't know if they're going to come back. Like there's the tree border die. I think the desert die is sold out. So, not wanting to harp on things that we can no longer have. But, you know. All right, let's see. Now, it really would have been cool if I would have made these buildings a little bit more dingy or destroyed looking. But we didn't, and that's okay. All right, so we've got that. Let's go ahead, pop this on a card base. And then we're going to add some embellishments. Look how that glue looks on this mixed media paper, too. It almost looks blue. All right. Let me grab some sequins. What color do I want to use? I don't have yellow. I do have gold. Let's do just some silver ones. So since we did silver paper splatter, let's see. There we go. A non-this set live question. Hey, go for it. As long as it doesn't mention fandom names, you are clear, Carrie. Where is my gem picker, though? Furry. Where did I put it? Here we go. Let's do... You know what? Hold on. Okay, lock it in place. All right, just a couple. We're getting there. Oh, yes, they are. They are, Beth. Also, Miss Carrie, we're getting towards the end of this live, so that question better pop up soon. But then again, it might take a little longer to type out. You never know. Just a couple sequins. All right, let's put the rest away. Oh, the dad from the Galactic, I would try toner grays. If you're only dealing, I would do toner grays for the Galactic dad, who is all black with the red space sword, we'll call it. I would say toner grays if you have them. If you don't have toner grays, this is going to sound really contradictory. If you're looking at cool tones and warm tones, I really lean towards the cool tones. However, do the warm tones, because if you're coloring up his red space sword, it's going to match better. So I say go with toner grays if you have them. Toner grays, neutral grays, warm grays, and then cool grays. That would be my order I would recommend. Does that help? If you have toner, do the toner. I think I use the toner for the fur of the ape, and I think that's going to be the color that you're going for. But for the skin part, I used warm grays. So you can see how there's a little bit more of an earthiness to it. But you guys, we're all done. We are completely finished with today's project. We used the Titan set to make this sort of fight card that just is kind of a fun sort of like, hey, you're cute, sort of like maybe a Valentine's Day, maybe not card. We have both of the images colored up. We did the ape during the live. I did the lizard man off camera, and I will make sure to include the colors. But thank you guys so very much for stopping by tonight. I'll get the Facebook Live all uploaded for you so you can watch that at your viewing pleasure, and I will be back next month for 2 more Facebook Lives. Do I know what sets I'm going to be using right now? No, I didn't pick this set till last night. But if you ever have suggestions, something you want to see, let me know. Carrie, maybe if the Galactic Dad is in stock for a purchase, maybe I need to color him up for a Father's Day card. Hey, not a bad idea. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Carrie. Hope you guys are all having a fantastic night, and I'll look forward to seeing you again real soon. Stay crafty. I'll be back for another Facebook Live, 2 of them next month. Bye-bye.